In this video, I'm going to be talking about your Eureka response rubric. And this isn't just for Eureka, it would be whatever kind of math problem that you would be responding to. You would probably want to follow these guidelines. But specifically in my class, this is how the points are going to break down. So I wanted to start by talking about the operational or non-constructive response problem. Okay, so these are your problems like 2 plus 2, okay? There's not a word problem involved with that. So it's not saying Jake has 2 buttons and he found 2 more. It's just asking you to add 2 things up. So how would I respond to a problem like this? Well, whenever you're looking at a rubric like this, you want to start at the highest value. So let's start at 3. And let's see, what do I need to get a 3 for this? I need to respond. I need my response to be correct and have sufficient supporting evidence. Well, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now, that's a correct response, but what would supporting evidence for that be? Now, this is going to vary from problem to problem. Whatever type of math you're doing is going to involve a different level of work to show. Sometimes there's not going to be a lot of work to show, like in this case. And I'll let you know how much work you need to show on any given thing. I'm not all about, you don't need to drag yourself out trying to figure out how you're showing your work here. But for 2 plus 2, just an example, maybe I can draw 2 of something, 2 little buttons, and then 2 more, and then I can see, well, how many do I have altogether? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be supporting evidence. So that would be like a 3 response right there. And 2, I wanted to talk about 2 because response is correct but lacks supporting evidence. So let's say I skip any of the work that I could have done to show what I did, and I just wrote 4, right, in my example. So I just wrote 4 instead of any supporting evidence. Well, I still get the 2, but I didn't support my work, so I don't get all the way up to 3. But it's this other or part right here that I wanted to talk about. Or even if your response is incorrect, if you show your thought process, then you're going to get the point. So let's say, for example, instead of putting 4, I put 5. Okay, 2 plus 2 equals 5. And let's say I come over here and I show my work and I'm counting up 1, 2, 3. And then I go from 2 to 4 to 5. And so I just counted wrong, but I showed my work and I can see where you messed up. You can see where you messed up and I can show you. So you showed your work, but you got a wrong answer. That's a 2-worthy score right there. Okay, so 2 is the key thing here. Even if you get the answer incorrect, you'll have a chance to get your points if you show your work. All right. 1, your response is incorrect and it lacks supporting evidence. You don't want a 1 or a 0, okay? Most of the time with these, 1 is just you threw something down, like you scribbled a 6 or something in there. You didn't bother even explaining what you did, okay? And then no response, obviously you're not going to get any points if you don't do any of the work. So, and I'm going to demonstrate how this applies in some more specific problems right now. 6th grade, Module 2, Lesson 3, problem set. Let's talk about what problems I'm going to expect from you and how your points are going to work out for this particular assignment, okay? So we finished Lesson 2, or Lesson 3, I should say, in Module 2. And this was, we did the lesson, so y'all already saw the video. Okay, great. So let's go to the problem set, and here's what I will be expecting from you, right? So remember our general rule from the lesson, which you can refer back to right here. I really should have prepared before I started this. Okay, there we go. All right, you can look at it up there. It's right above your notes. So all we're gonna do right here is we're gonna so for the following exercise, rewrite division problems and expressions in unit form. Guess what? Good thing you watched the video, because you know I'm not going to ask you to do that. Okay, we can skip the unit form. If you want to write it in unit form, that's fine. I'm not going to give you any extra points for it. You don't need to. Find the quotient. That's what I'm going to be asking you to do. Then it asks you to draw a model to support your answer. Well, guess what? No, I don't need that from you. Okay, just don't need it. Just find the quotient. And guess what? For down here, for 5 through 7, same deal. We're just going to find the quotient, right? So we're going to apply our rule that we learned during the lesson. And remember that when we divide fractions with common denominators, we can just take the numerator of the dividend over the numerator of the divisor. And that is a correct answer for us, right? But some of you may already notice that we can divide 4 by 1. 4 divided by 1 is equal to 4. So that would be our final answer. And now I showed some work. I showed an adequate amount of work for this lesson, because this lesson was actually for y'all to learn a shortcut to all this. So this is a sufficient amount of work. I don't need the model. I don't need anything else. That's fine. So, hey, and look at that. I gave you an answer too, right? Now, what if we have a situation like, let's say we go to 4 and we have 13 over 4 as an answer. Now, is there a way to simplify that any further? Well, some of you may know that we could turn it into a mixed number. You could do that, and that would also be a correct answer. That would be 3 and 1/4. So you could have that, but this is actually also a sufficient answer. But how can I be sure that 4 doesn't divide perfectly into 13? Some of you probably just know your math facts, but what could I do? I don't know my math facts that well. How can I be sure that 13 divided by 4 doesn't get me a perfect answer? How would I know? There's a couple of ways you could try and find out. Okay, so any of those answers would be acceptable right there, I suppose. Yeah, no, I don't even want that. Like that would be unnecessary. I would want you to keep this in fraction form. So anyway, so that's 2 problems for you right there, and that is sufficient. That is sufficient for this, right? So let's try 2, right? So we would have the numerator of the dividend over the numerator of the divisor, 8 over 4. Can that be simplified? Can 8 be divided by 4 perfectly? Can it? How many times does 4 go into 8? Do some long division. You have to. So you have 8 over 4, and that equals 2. Right, so, but either one of those is technically a correct answer. But I do want you to simplify it if possible, right? So 13 over 4, you don't need to simplify it. 13 over 4 is fine because it doesn't go in perfectly. You're good. Great. Okay, so down here it would be the same thing. So 1 through 7 would generally be all the same process, but now I'm also going to have this in a Google form for you, right? So if you see this in a Google form, how am I going to expect you to respond? Okay, give me a second. So if you're responding in the Google form, this is all you're going to see. You're going to see a picture of the problem set just like this, and you're going to be given a blank slate of a text box to write in right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to type out each response question. So number 1, we're going to have number 1 with a number 1 with a period, and I'm going to leave a space, right? And how did we respond to number 1? Okay. So our final answer here was 4. So in my Google form, and I wish I could pull it up for you, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's going to just be a blank paragraph. I'm going to put a 1 period, and then I'm going to put my final answer 4. All right. So when you're responding in the Google Forms, I'm not going to make you break your back showing work. Okay. We'll figure out a workaround for that if it comes to it later on, and I need you to show your work for something. But for these, again, this was a short cut kind of lesson. So we're just going to write our final answers in here. So 2 period, had a final answer of 2. 3, that one's for you. You get to do that one. 4, and then I'll have, now, okay, so I want 13 over 4 to be my final answer here. How am I going to write 13 over 4 as a fraction? Well, there's a couple of ways of it probably in the form there may be a way to turn it into a fraction, but all you need to do is put your numerator first, and you're going to put that backslash in there. Okay, that's going to be your fraction bar. So 13 over 4 is going to look just like that as a fraction. All right. If you want to, you can put it in parentheses, keep it nice and neat and all together. Yeah, that's looking like a good answer right there. And again, that's all you're going to see in the form is this picture and a blank slate. So you're going to go down and you are going to type in all of the questions just like this right here. And we're going to come down because we're going to go ahead and talk about what problems I will be expecting from you. Okay, so yeah, wait. Let me go back to the full screen right here real quick. So the full screen, okay. All right, so let's look at problems 1 through 7 right here, and what can you possibly get? So we talked about the rubric. Each one of these, 1 through 7, are operational. Okay. 1 through 7 are all operational problems. So there's nothing else for you to do, right? I don't need you to do any extra writing or anything like that. There's no word problem associated with it. So each one of these, 1 through 7, 3 points each. So if you've got 7 problems, 3 points each, how many potential points can you get from this? 21 total potential points right here. Total points. Yeah. All right. And that's the most you can get right there. It's 21 points. Okay. Fantastic. So now let's go back. And this is the rubric for your constructive response problems. So what if you have a constructive like a word problem, right? If you have a word problem, say like Jake has 2 buttons and finds 2 more. How many does he have now? All right, so we want to get the most amount of points we can on each one of these. All right, so operations, that's just like what we talked about before. Operations is just the math part. Okay, so I want to get all my points for my operation. So what do I need to do? I want to get all of the operational aspects to this question correct. So some word problems you get are going to have more than one part of the question that they want you to answer. But we want to try and get all of them, right? So in my example, I have 2 buttons. I find 2 more. So that's going to be like a 2 plus 2 situation, and that's going to equal 4. So 4 is going to be the operational part of this, and as long as I have that, then I'm going to be okay. Okay, now spelling and grammar. All right, I want to get a 2 on this. So I want my response to be in a complete sentence. Complete thoughts or sentence. Complete thought sentences with appropriate grammar and capitalization and punctuation. You've all taken English for a while now. You need to talk to Misty about how to write in full sentences, okay? I'll be pretty lenient about this, but you want to use correct grammar, capitalization, punctuation. You want it to be a full sentence. So what would a full sentence for this look like? Okay. Okay, so look, also, we want to restate the question now. I wanted to throw this at you because response restates the question. So what is the question? How many buttons do I have now? So does Jake have now? So to restate the question, I would want to say Jake now has 4 buttons. Okay, and I want to have my supporting evidence, which over here really is sufficient evidence. But if I wanted to continue this, I would write because, and because is fine there, because 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that's a complete sentence, complete thoughts, it restates the question, and it's got the correct answer. So I'm going to get 2 points for my operations because I got the correct answer. I'm going to get 2 points for writing this in a complete sentence. I'm going to get 1 extra point for restating the question in my response. So that's 5 points total on any constructive response problem. So, and the way this could work in a more practical sense on specific word problems, I'm going to show y'all some right now. And let's go down and let's look at a word problem. And let's talk about which one of these I'm going to be accepting from you. So, for this first lesson, I'm going to be kind of generous. So, I'm going to work 8 and 9 with you just to show you how this applies to the rubric. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 10 and 11 here as bonus points. Okay, so those are a bonus point situation. All right, BP, all right? So you can get like plus 10 bonus points right here, okay? So 10 and 11, bonus, not necessary. You don't have to do it. Don't have to do these. But let's talk about 8 and 9. And right now, before you continue, I would, if for those of you who, everybody, first of all, read the questions and try to answer the problems before we go through this, okay? Then I'll show you how I expect your response, what your response will look like, all right? All right, so take a second. Pause the video if you want to. All right, so problem 8. Okay, we want to represent division expressions using unit form, find a quotient, show all necessary work. Guess what we're not going to do? I don't need you to do it in unit form, okay? If seeing it in the unit form, what we talked about in the lesson, helps you, then that's fine. I don't need you to represent it in unit form. It'll be okay, okay? You're going to find the quotient. You're going to find the quotient and show all necessary work. That's what I want from you, all right? So problem 8, a runner is 7/8 mile. She's 7/8 of a mile from the finish line. Great. She's traveling 3/8 miles per minute. Fantastic. How long will it take her to finish the race? So what this is here, guys, again, hopefully y'all figured out a way to come up with a solution first. This is just a division problem. So we're going to divide 7/8 divided by 3/8. And maybe I can use this with whole numbers to maybe show you better. So let's say instead of a runner, there's a guy in a jet and he travels 25 miles per he's 25, he gotta go 25 miles. Right? No. Let's say that this guy gotta go let's say this guy gotta go 100 miles, right? Right? And let's say he's traveling, I don't know, let's say he's traveling 25 miles per hour the whole way there, right? So how long is it going to take him to get there? Well, we divide 100 by 25. That tell us that it would take 4 hours to get there, right? And we could figure out that other way. So if we travel 25 miles per hour, in 4 hours, we'll have gone 100 miles. This is a division problem, right? 7/8 divided by 3/8. Okay, so it's just like the other problems that we had done. So you're going to solve for that, right? That's going to be 7/3. Can 7/3 be simplified? No, it cannot. Okay, but this is a word problem. They want us to give us an actual response. So if you're doing this on paper, if you're doing this in analog format, first of all of this is going to be done on a separate sheet of paper. So you're going to have all your work and you're writing on a separate sheet of paper and that you're going to put your name on and title and turn into me because I don't want you to write your responses in these tiny little spaces that they give you. I learned that lesson from last year. So, but what would a 5-point response look like for this? So first of all, I need to restate the question. Okay. So what is the question? How long will it take her to finish the race? So the runner. One way you can answer this is you could say the runner will finish the race in 7/3 was our final at 7/3 of a what? 7/3 minutes, right? And now Mr. Shaheen is comfortable with these improper fractions, as we talked about earlier. I would rather see this as 7/3 rather than it be what would it be? Is made 2 1/3 as a mixed number, but either one of those answers is correct. So you could also have 2 1/3 minute, right? And this would be a 5-point answer. It's a full, complete thought. I showed some work here, so great. That's fantastic. All right, now, what if I want to come into my Google form and I wanted to write their response? But, well, I would just have my complete answer and I would type it. I would have, it would take the runner, what did I put? It would take the runner, I forget. It would take the runner, what was it? 7/3, and I showed you how to write those fractions up above. So 7/3 minutes, and I guess I'll write that completely. It would take the runner 7/3 minutes to complete the race. Is that what it was? I hate word problems. Is she racing? She's running. Yeah, okay, whatever. To complete the race or whatever. And then if I wanted to show my work here, I would just explain that this is what I did. So we divided 7/8, and the slash is division, so by 3/8, yeah, equals 7/3. So that would be a 5-point answer right there. I showed the work I did. Fantastic. That's adequate. I'm sure some of you are creative and can think of a better way to put this in nicer terms, but this is probably as basic as I would need you to get it right here. All right. So you know what? Yeah, let's do problem 9 again together because this one has multiple aspects, and I talked about that in the when we were looking at the rubric. So this one has multiple aspects to it. It has multiple parts to the question. I guess I'm just going to do it on this one since it's not as ugly. All right, let's do it right here. So an electrician has 4.1 meters of wire. Again, please, regardless of whether or not you're going to check your answer on this, is fine. So take some time before you just get the answer or whatever for this one, and try to see if you can come up with the right answer. Okay? So see what you got. Pause the video if you would like. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it though. All right. So an electrician has 4.1 meters of wire, and I have my pencil. So 4.1 meters of wire. So the first part here, how many strips can be cut? If we cut in 7/10 meter long strips, how much wire will he have left over? Okay, so it's a division problem again. So we have 4.1 meters of wire, and we're dividing it into sections of 7/10. All right, so look, what has this lesson been about? It's been about dividing fractions with common denominators. So we want to turn 4.1 into a fraction. Well, how can we do that? Well, 4.1 is equal to 4.1 over 1, right? Yeah? Okay, so we can change 4.1 into 4.1 over 10. Over 1, I should say, right? But we need these to have common denominators, so what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply 4.1 over 1 by 1 with a denominator of 10, right? 10 over 10 is just 1, yes? Everybody with me on that? We talked about that in the lesson, talked about that in the notes. 10 over 10 equals 1. If we multiply anything times 1, it doesn't change anything, right? So if we multiply 4.1 over 1 by 10 over 10, we get 41. We just move the decimal over. And for 1, do we do the same thing? We just move the decimal over. And what is right there? 10 times 1 is 10. Very good. Fantastic. So we'll now have 41 over 10 divided by 7 over 10. And remember the rule. You can even come back and look at it in here in the lesson notes. We just take the numerator of the dividend over the numerator of the divisor, and we have 41 over 7. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated, because here, question A is asking us how many strips, how many 7/10 strips can be cut. So we know that 41 over 7 can be cut, but now we actually need to turn this into a mixed number to figure out how many strips we can have, right? Because we can only have so many whole strips of that. So 41 over 7, we're going to divide. How many times does 7 go into 41? I know it goes in there 5 times. 5 whole times. And you know what? I'll actually show the long division right here. So this is what long division would look like. 41 over 7. So does 7 go into 4? No, it doesn't. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to go to 41. How many times does it go into 41? I know it only goes in there 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. 6 remainder. And then 7 doesn't go into 6 anymore. So 5 whole times with a remainder of 6. Right? 6 over 7. So 5 and 6 sevenths. So how many whole strips? They can make 5 whole strips. Whole strips. How much wire will they have left over? 6 sevenths. Oh, 6 sevenths? Yeah. It would be 6/10 of the wire remaining. Yeah, yes. 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 Genius. I'm genius. Yes, it would be. You can make your argument that it was 6/7 over here, but it's 6/10. Okay. Anyway, that's why I'm not gonna. I wouldn't necessarily require a problem like this. There's something's complicated about it. But okay. Anyway, we want to put this into our response now. So here there were multiple aspects that we wanted to get correct. So we got multiple of the aspects correct. So we're going to get all 5 points for that, right? If I just got one of the aspects correct, it would only be 1 point. And that would bring us our total points down to 4. All right, but let's say I wanted to put the response to this in Google Forms. So I need to, or if I was just writing out my complete answer, but I'll type it out here since it's easier for me to do. So part A, I would write 9, period. Then I'd put the A first, and I'd write the electrician could cut 5 whole strips at 7/10 centimeter length five whole strips at 17th meter strips, and then write B, and I could probably write this as one whole sentence, but I would prefer to see it chunked like this. After which, just the electrician would have 6/10 strips remaining. 6/10 of a meter strips remaining. So this would be a 5-point response right here, okay? And so look at that. Look, you have two 5-point responses right here that you can use in your own work. Great. And so that's all 10 possible points because we're going to go back and we're going to talk about now. In this particular situation here, I assigned 8 and 9. Let's go back. Yeah, I assigned 8 and 9, so that means those are 5 points each. Total 10 points possible with 10 bonus points potentially. So that means we have 21 up here, 21 points plus 10 possible points down below. So you can get a total of 31 points on this assignment. And that means, what that means is I am going to make this, I don't know, because I like to build in some free points for you. So I'm going to call this a 25-point assignment, okay? So yes, you could exceed the number of points. What if I get all of them correct and I get 31 points on the assignment? Well, you're not going to get more than 100. Even though you have 31 over 25, that's more than 100. You're only going to get an A. Okay? All right, so you only need 25 points, but you can shoot for 31, and the bonus points will count towards bonus points, which will be their own thing. Okay, you can't get more than 100 points, right? But let's say I miss a few. Let's say I miss all the ones that Mr. Shaheen didn't give me. Okay, let's say I showed some work, I did it, but I got them wrong. So let's say I got 2 points for each of those. So that would lower my, you would actually still be okay. You would still have 20, even if you, so this one's like a gimme now, and I'm okay with that. This is like a gimme assignment now, because even if you get all of these answers wrong, if you do some work with them, you try your best, then you're still going to come out with a 25, which is good. That's what I want. So 25-point potential assignment. I do talk about it. Great. But 10 and 11 are bonus points. You don't need to do this. You need to do 1 through 9. We did them together. 1 through 9. Required. 10 and 11 are bonus points. Okay? I'll see y'all in the next one.